And a grand jury has indicted a nursing assistant on a negligent homicide charge after a nursing home patient died last year.
Georgia.
And a grand jury has indicted a nursing assistant on a negligent homicide charge after a nursing home patient died last year.
Georgia Peck spoke with the person who currently runs the facility, has more on the indictment. Georgia.
Yeah, according to the Attorney General, Diamond Johnson, a former nursing assistant at Jefferson Manor Nursing and Rehabilitation Center, used a hydraulic lift to move a patient from a chair to her bed. The patient slipped out the side of the sling and landed on the feet of the lift, killing her. Back in June of last year, the Attorney General says Johnson operated the lift by herself. After the patient fell off the lift, she became unresponsive for 40 minutes, and efforts to resuscitate her were unsuccessful. The autopsy found her cause of death was a result of blunt force injuries from the fall. We reached out to Matthew Walton, the current administrator of Jefferson Manor. He says the safety and well-being of their residents is the top priority and says they have cooperated with the Department of Health and the Attorney General's office throughout the investigation. And in a statement today, Attorney General Liz Murrill said, "These cases are very difficult, but my job as Attorney General is to protect the citizens of this state, especially those who can't protect themselves." As to the facts of this case, the grand jury felt, as we did, that Ms. Johnson was negligent in the care she provided to the victim, who unfortunately lost her life as a result of that negligence. And according to Medicare.gov, Jefferson Manor has been cited for potential issues related to abuse with an overall rating of 1 star. It also shows 5% of long-stay residents have experienced 1 or more falls with major injuries. The national average is just over 3%, and the Louisiana average is 3.5. And as for Johnson, she was booked into the East Baton Rouge Parish Prison, and the investigation is ongoing. Guys.
Thank you, George.
So you seen that, you heard that. My heart goes out to both family, to Diamond, her family, to the patient whose family has lost a loved one in a tragic way. Very, very preventable accident that shouldn't have happened, but it happened. This is the first I'm hearing about it. And as somebody who works in the field as a tech and been in the field for many years, and I've seen a lot, I've worked with a lot of different people, work with a lot of wonderful people, and I work with a lot of not so wonderful people. That being said, working in the field, I know that Diamond is, when it happened, when this went down, I know she panicked. She felt like vomiting, maybe, soiling herself, maybe. And I also believe that when her patient went down, slid out that sling, and made contact with the Hoyer lift, the base of it, God, I know she wished she could have reversed, have a redo and do it over and say, no, let me wait for help, get help. I don't know. I don't know if she asked for help and help was taking too long. I don't know if help was there and she just didn't want that help from whoever it was that was there. I don't know if she's just like, you know what, I'm not going to wait. I can do this on my own, because that do happen in this field. That do happen where, you know what, man, they're taking too long. I heard, this one brother say, to slow down, that CNAs need to slow down. I absolutely agree with him on that. Check him out. This is what he says.
CNAs, I need y'all to come to the front. Y'all have to do 2 things. 1, y'all gotta slow down. And two, when y'all are transferring these patients, stop doing it by yourself. Now, I know a lot of y'all feel like y'all know the patients. I know a lot of y'all feel like I've been a CNA for however many years. I got this. But what happened in Louisiana is exactly why y'all need to slow down, number one. And number two, y'all need to start having somebody with you when you are doing these lifts and doing these transfers.
And so I agree with him. The problem is, it is not always that easy to slow down. It's not always that easy. Every shift and every day is a different day. It's a different shift. But man, so we know what should have been done. What should have been done was she should not have transferred that patient by herself. So here's my thing, right? Here's what I'm going to say to my fellow CNAs and my fellow techs. You got to know your strength. You got to know your limit. You got to know your strength. You got to know your limit. And the other thing too is I've seen where during a transfer, sometimes they forget to keep the legs open because it creates a base, right? When you keep it at, this angle, when you keep the Hoyer lift legs like this, or even partially like that, like this or like that, depending on how heavy that patient is and if they are uncomfortable and they're kind of fidgeting it around, it's going to create a swing. It's going to create a swing. Going to create a rock. And if you're not strong, because I've seen this, if you're not strong enough to keep it steady, or even remember to, oh snaps, let me open up the leg then to create a firm, steady foundation for the Hoyer lift, where everything is balanced out, right? It's gonna topple over. And I hate that this happened to that patient. I hate that this happened to that CNA, but it 1000% could have been and should have been preventable. As I heard one nurse say, and as we always taught in the field, sometimes patients are going to fall. It's going to happen to some of them. It just happens. Sometimes you're not even there, and we don't know. We don't know how they fell. And other times, it happens while you're performing a care, you're performing a transfer. What the company want to know is, did you follow the protocol and the steps and implement the teachings that they gave you? That's what they want to know. Because if you did everything right, then this was not an error on your part. No. But in this situation with Miss Diamond Johnson, this was all on her. And I hate that that this went down the way that it did. My heart goes out to her. It really do. I have been in a situation. Now, some people are saying they were short-staffed and, she was running around trying to get it done. I don't know. But I do know for myself, I have worked in a facility when I was living back in PA. Broomall, actually. I was working out in Broomall. at a nursing home, skilled facility. And I was working overnights. And when I went in that night, it was just me and the RN. And we had the entire wing, the entire corridor unit to ourselves. And it was like 40 something, 30 something. Yeah, about 40 something patients. It was over 20 total cares. So there was no way that I could get all these total cares cared for in 8 hours. It was a horrible night. Plus, she had to give her meds. It was a terrible night. But it was at night, and I did no transfer, right? And this was my first time on the job. I got hired, and this was my first night on the job. And when I saw that, when I experienced that, I was like, I'm not doing this again. I'm not doing it again. And so that night was terrible. I thought it would never end. And when it did end and the oncoming shift was coming on, and I was explaining to them what happened, they were like, yeah, that's nothing new. It happens sometimes. What do you mean it happens sometime? So you're trying to tell me this is normal? No, man, we can't work like that, man. So I made a complaint to the supervisor that hired me. Yeah, because he sure did sold me snake oil out of this job. And it paid great. It was paying great, but I did not know the truth of it until I was working that first night. So I told him what happened, and he assured me that it was just a one-time thing. It wouldn't happen again. So, because I was going to quit, so I was to return that same night, right? So I got off in the morning. I was supposed to return that night. Went back that second night. Same thing happened. We were the only two on the floor. I did not abandon the assignment. I did not leave the nurse. I did not leave the residents. I stayed. I banged it out again, and then I quit. But I did not transfer nobody. You have to know when to and when not to. All right. My condolences to the family. And yes, this happened last year, but I feel like for the family, this is a closure, because this nurse assistant is being punished. A year later, now she's facing her punishment for the negligence that she had did. Whether we agree with it or not, it doesn't matter. You have to go by and stick to the book and the protocol and the teachings. And she didn't follow it. And I hate that happened to her. She's not the only one that has done that. And she won't be the last. But for stop it, man. Anyway, that is, I know this is a different kind of a video, from what I normally do, but it's kind of personal to me because I work in the field. And so my heart goes out to everybody. Everybody. All right, I'm out. Continue to live on purpose, godly purpose.